we are recording, Mr. Mel.
Ho, ho, ho. It's officially holiday season.
Yeah,
Good afternoon.
yeah. And of course, we were given the gift of a shit show this week. So this should be a fun episode.
Know what makes me feel better?
Go on.
Decorating for Christmas. Do you guys? Oh, you're engaged to a Jew. Oh, that's a tough conversation. I forgot.
I will say, she's a Habsy. So her mom was non-Jew. Her dad is Jewish. So they would cheat, and they would do the Christmas cut type thing, you know.
Okay.
So we get a little Christmas tree every year.
Now you've had Stella for a while. So last year, how did Stella respond to the tree?
Oh, she loved the tree. She would often try to lay under it, which is very cute. But she would also like the little bowls, you know. She's just like her Uncle Simo. She loves balls. She's like,
yeah.
You know?
Relatable.
She's like trying to pull on them, like with her teeth, like,
yep.
You know.
I was just gonna say that.
So, it's just you know what happens. Anyways, before Mariah Carey comes after us, we're gonna do this in 3, 2, 1.
What are you doing?
Testes in my mouth.
Get on the ground, you fucking pledge.
Ew.
Welcome to the greatest podcast experience of your life. This is the FratChat podcast.
All young men like 3 things. Food, news, pussy.
Featuring Carlos Garcia and Chris
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasting time. It's the FratChat podcast. I'm Carlos Garcia with Chris Simo Moore. How's it going, Mr. Mo?
What's up, man? I'm good. How are you?
I would like to say I'm living the dream as I open the show every single week. But good Lord, what a shit show it has been in the world. I feel old officially when I can say that I see news stories and they affect me, you know, like they fuck me up inside. I'm like, ah!
You know what? I woke up thinking similarly, and I'm like, I'm going to go work out these frustrations at the gym. So I took a spin class, and now I'm even more mad at the world.
Oof, yeah, spin classes.
It was tough,
joke, dude.
And she said, the instructor said, "All right, guys, we did it." So I'm like, "Oh, thank God!" And I jumped off the bike, and she said, "Oh, no, we're halfway there." And I'm like, "What? There's another half of this?" Oh my God!
No way, dude. And did you have to wear those little shoes where you clip onto the bike? Like,
no, my shoe fit right into the little pedal holder that they have, but it was intense. And there's all these like skinny girls who are champs, and then there was me in the back, and I didn't do so hot. I did the best I could.
It's funny because if you look at all those classes, doesn't matter what it is, it's mostly women that go. But there's some really good ones. Like I go to Rumble Boxing with Julie, and it's mostly women. A couple of dudes. You know, I'm not complaining. I get a much better view. Mostly girls working out, but it's interesting. I don't know. Guys feel like a certain way about taking classes, and I don't get why. They're like, it's nice because like you don't have to think about it. You just do what people are doing in front of you. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
I feel like time passes pretty quickly when someone's just telling you what to do, as opposed to you like willing yourself to do it all by yourself. I don't know. If you're a dude and you have a thing, you know, whatever. Sit down and pee every once in a while. I'll make you.
You know, I think what keeps me going is the sheer embarrassment that would be if I were to walk out of the class.
Absolutely, you can't be a bitch. It's like it's like when you're at the gym. You lift better than you lift at home because there's fucking other meatheads there, and you don't want to look like a bitch. It's the same thing with these classes, and especially if they're full of ladies, some of these are very petite, beautiful women, but like, I can't look like a bitch and tap out in front of them. That's embarrassing, So it makes you hit that extra gear of survival for the sake of vanity, which I think every human being should tap into more. Vanity will really drive you places. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Today, at one point, she said, all right, third. And then I got in third position. She said, I meant third gear. And I was like, ah, so
Damn, bitch.
intense. All these girls were
Yeah.
like, she meant third gear. I'm like, she was really clear about it. I'm sorry.
Well, but how do you know which one's third position? Does she say position?
She said first, second, now third. And so I was doing the gears, but she meant positioning. And like that means like you grab certain handlebars, like the ones up top and ones lower, you sit down or you bob up and down. I don't know. It was so confusing today. Like, jeez Louise. This is what the government did to me. I blame the Republicans.
That's right. That doesn't help that going in there with dyslexia. You should just yell that. I have dyslexia.
Shut up. I'm dyslexic, god damn it.
Leave me alone. Oh God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this podcast will make things better. But because we got a good one for you, this was gonna be a little bit different. Enough shit has been going on in the world. There's all these news stories being thrown your way, and no one knows what the fuck is going on. So we're gonna read the news so you don't have to, because we're that good of a friend. But first, we got something we got to do. Seema and I got some aggressions to let out. So it's a good time to bring back Comedians Roast Each Other for 60 seconds. And let me get my trusty timer. There it is. This should be fun. I think we both need this week. This is for America, Seema.
This is for America.
That's right. So let me move the timer to my second screen here. Now I can see it better. Okay. We're going to do this in 3, 2, 1. And Mr. Mo, it's a good week to bring this segment when you're dressed like a gay lumberjack over there.
It's a onesie.
That's right.
And it has a hood.
and that's right. And I did notice, did you recently go and get a little Botox done? Because especially at Matt Gates's place? Because I told you not to go there.
I did not. Matt Gates is like the epitome of what I don't want to look like ever in my life. I think you look like with your t-shirt, you look like an emoji right now. Like a walking, talking emoji.
Yeah, and it's the one that when it looks at you, it just goes like this.
Okay.
That's me looking that's me watching you perform.
At least people watch me and don't run out screaming.
It happened one time.
One time too many. You should have taken a hint.
That was comedians roasting each other for 60 seconds. That bell always comes at the perfect time. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we can do the thing. Because we got a couple news stories for you. And some of these are pretty wild stuff. And it really makes me believe that we're just living in an alternate reality at this point. Where it's like, what the fuck is going on? But it is the world that we live in today. So for the first one, hit it! Now, we appreciate a good creep here at the FratChat podcast because we love making fun of creeps, especially creeps with daddies in power. Because very recently, here in New York City in the Upper East Side, a 50-year-old man was accused of filming his sexual encounters with numerous women without their consent and he was arrested and pled guilty to felony charges, according to a report by The Gothamist. His name was Daniel McAvoy, and he was indicted on September of 2022 on 29 counts. 29 counts of unlawful surveillance, and is accused of filming 4 women on several occasions at various apartments on the Upper East Side. During the investigation, more than 150 DVDs with handwritten labels that included dozens of women's names and specific acts in pornographic terms.
It's not funny. It's not funny. I'm sorry.
I know, it's not funny. I'm trying. Like, they were reportedly unearthed at the home of his father, where he hid it at, and his father was none other than senior U.S. District Judge Thomas McAvoy, who was nominated by President Ronald Reagan and confirmed by the Senate in 1986. He is now 86 years old as well. And he has not been accused or linked to any of the wrongdoing. Hopefully he was not holding the camera, cheering him on. You go, son! This is for America. But 150 DVDs? Like, what the fuck? Like, what? What were you doing, man? And this is like so like, you know, like it reminds me of like the classic like mixtapes, you know, on CDs that we would burn when we were kids, like Simo's cool party jams, you know, Simo's dance jams, you know, we were all name like the dumbest shit, and that's how you remember. This is like Janice Missionary 2003.
Yeah,
oh, that was really a great summer.
Like, Brenda went snorkeling in my butthole 2004.
Precious memories.
who found these? I was confused as to how this all came out. Did his father just come across like a smorgasbord of DVDs, and he was like, "Huh, Snow White and her 7 butt buddies, directed by my son." Wow. Let's take a look.
The district attorney's office found it somehow, and who knows who tipped him off. Maybe we'll get to it here. There was also a civil suit, though, that was filed against him. Jane Doe, involved in a long on and off relationship with the guy, is seeking damages in civil action. And she said that while they were dating, McAvoy presented some behaviors that Jane Doe realized in retrospect were bizarre. No shit. McAvoy never allowed the woman to take pictures of him and insisted that their dates only happen at his home, according to the complaint. The two never went out in public together, and he went to great lengths to make himself unreachable at times, even claiming his father had kidney issues and he was the kidney donor and needed to be on call. Just red flag. Although the woman claims she never gave McAvoy permission to record her during their sexual encounters, he demanded that she send him images and videos of herself as a test of obedience and loyalty, which she did, repeatedly asking that he keep them private. Okay, come on, lady. According to the complaint, the mother of 2 says she broke off her relationship with him in February of 2021, and she didn't learn of the secret recordings until she was contacted by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in July 2022. At the DA's office, she viewed, oh God, this is so embarrassing. This is bad. She viewed a sexually video depicting herself, which was surreptitiously recorded by McAvoy in his home in or around 2019, according to the civil suit. So imagine you're just sitting around. You get brought in by the district attorney of fucking the United States, and he says, Simo, I got something to show you. Hey, Johnny, play the clip. And there's like 6 people surrounding you. Turn it on, and it's just you and fucking all 4s getting railed out. That is awful, dude.
I want to see what he looked like to roast him, but there's a lot of Daniel McAvoys. So I don't know which one is him. But I feel like he's got to give a good lay or be hot in order to be able to achieve all of this in the world of dating. Do you know what I mean? Like,
give you, if it was 4 women and these videos, he had 150 videos, DVD too back then. Those could fill a couple of hours each.
Yeah,
so like, I mean, and not to say that's impressive because he's an awful man. You need consent, boys and girls, consent. is key to these things, and this wouldn't be a crime. But I have to say, unless you're like all like 3-minute DVDs, in which case, come on, buddy, save the earth. You
I
know?
feel like this is a perfect example of like why discipline is so important early on in a child's development, because I feel like the more privileged people are in the world, the more fucked up and the more like heinous crimes they commit because they've never been told no. Like I feel like if you're gonna still steal a lip chap from your local CVS as a 10-year-old, then by the time you're 20, you might be stealing cars and whatever if you're not caught early on. So like I'm a big proponent
Yeah.
of when your kid fucks up at a young age, you rub their nose in it. When they steal the lip chap from like the local Rite Aid, you treat it like it was a car and you ground them for a month and they'll never do that shit again,
Totally. Yeah, I think discipline is key. You gotta definitely punish your kids if they do shit. But you can't also be like too restrictive, or also like you can't be that parent who's like, you can't watch any of this. Blah. Eventually they'll find a way to watch it. And now we live in the streaming area, so like all you need is to go hang out with a friend and you can see it,
You know,
or go take a poop with your cell phone and you got it. So like, find a happy
Dan,
medium.
this Daniel character is not going to learn shit. He's going to get away with this because he's
Bro.
not going to do any jail time because of some program he's enrolled in to help figure out the inner workings of a mind of a criminal. And so his daddy got him off the hook again. And then the next time he commits a crime, it's going to be worse. And I'm going to blame daddy for it. So like, I don't know why these privileged white kids specifically get away with murder. Like I was watching, this might be controversial, the Menendez brothers.
Oh yeah.
So I almost feel like it's like glorified because of Ryan Murphy like miniseries, So I think that if they were victims of sexual abuse, my heart goes out to them. That's horrible. But like at the end of the day, like they shot their parents point blank range multiple times and then they try to cover it up and then they went off on like a shopping spree. Like if that doesn't say privilege, I don't know what does, And so
the whole shopping spree thing is where they lose me. But I
yeah.
will say, if someone fucked me in the ass, I would kill them. And I would expect to be let off. That is, that is not going to happen, bro. That is an exit only, people.
Yeah.
And it has some majestic exits too. I just had one right before this show. Not going to ruin that for me. Fuck no. But yeah, like Simo said, this asshole is going to get off because he was allowed to enter an open plea while
Mm-hmm.
he goes free to complete a year of court order treatment, essentially. And said if he completes that successfully, he'll, basically get off. An open plea means it doesn't get prosecuted, essentially. So he's not going to go away for anything. But he's in his 50s. Like, come on, dude. He's at this age. It's going to be really tough to rehabilitate a creep. But hopefully he learned to get some fucking consent. That's all you have to do, dude. Especially if you were dating someone who was sending you video nudes already. It's not that far off to just be like, hey, can we bang on camera?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, she's like sending him videos of her naked. Like, it's not, I don't think she would have been that shocked when you take that next step. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm looking at, so there's this Fox News article that I'm about to read out loud, but it says that this is a program that's specific to Manhattan. So McAvoy is, or is it McAvoy?
McAvoy, I think.
McAvoy?
Like the actor.
Has been going through Manhattan's it's called the Felony Alternative to Incarceration, ATI court, and it's a program that offers alternatives to incarceration for all types of felony cases, including violent offenses and sex offenses, and it's meant to get at the root of the problems that leads to crime. Got the missed up reports. So I feel like I don't know what I think about this program because I think that, let's say you're a crackhead, then you should probably keep your ass out the crack house. And if you're an alcoholic, you probably shouldn't go to the bar. Like, you should try your best to distance yourself from these problems until you're, maybe rehabilitated. But I feel like if you're a former crackhead, you really have no business in a crack house ever again. And if you're a former alcoholic, maybe in a restaurant, but going to the bar to meet your friends may not be the best choice. That makes sense.
Totally.
So if you are accused of a violent offense or a sex offense, then we need to keep your ass off the street. And I don't want you on the street under some program because you're doing a lot of therapy. How the fuck no? Like if you're touching and grabbing at people without permission, like I don't know if there's much help for you. Like you need to go to jail in an environment where people are grabbing at you, so you know what it's like. No, no, I'm saying, but you need to be behind bars. I'm sorry, but like
somebody used to record you doing something gross because at least the sex was consensual. I will say that he wasn't raping anyone. He was just weirdly recording them. But yeah, someone needs to record you taking a shit and push that on the internet. See how you like it.
But he's been doing this for a long time. He's not going to stop doing it because he knows he gets away with anything he wants to get away with because daddy will make it happen. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I also think it's good for American public to see that like wealthy, privileged white people can go to jail too.
Totally.
Because if he wasn't privileged and if he was black, it'd be a different article.
Oh yeah, totally. Absolutely. He would have they probably would have shot him on the scene. He came at us with a gun.
Like not to compare it with Diddy, but I think that with let's say we took away all the violent behavior and the underage stuff. It was just Diddy recording like sex acts. I don't think that I don't think that they would be offering him this like plea bargain to do a lot of therapy and to figure out the root cause of his problem. They would make a spectacle of it and throw his ass in jail.
To be fair, I do think that if he just had tapes and nothing else, he would still be getting away with it because he would have the blackmail and everybody. Because he apparently he would like rub it in people's faces that, hey, I have this on you. It wasn't like this other guy who was trying to keep it a secret. So who knows how many, important people he's got on there whose benefit it would be, not to have this shit come out.
I used to date this one guy a long time ago in Chicago, and we were like making out hot and heavy, and he's like, "Do you mind if I put this on camera?" And I was like, "I have to go. I have to go." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "We're done." And he's like, "What? Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?" And I was pretty drunk, but I had enough common sense to know this is not a good idea. And I think he alluded to it earlier, and I was like, "I'm not comfortable with that." And then he was like, "Do you mind if I?" Just because I'm a few more drinks deep, I'm not going to change my mind.
Totally.
And I gotta go.
Totally. It's like, plus you brought this whole camera crew. I told you not to bring them with us.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this guy? He's looking at me weird. And the boom mic guy, really? Look at him. I'm not fucking. No, get out of here, weirdo.
Bad
there
news.
are some people. I will say I had a little something recorded with the next ones, but when we broke up, we both were like, we got to delete that shit. So it was, just for us, and totally deleted it.
Now, what if it surfaced? What if you got a really big deal, and to be a spiteful bitch, she put you on blast and put it on all these websites?
To be honest, I don't think I'd give a shit at the time because it was like a relationship, and I got nothing to hide.
Well, because I feel like if this happened to me earlier, I told you off air that I would be like mortified. But then the more I think about it, I'm like, hell, if I looked really, because when I was younger, I was in great shape, and like,
totally.
if I looked good in it, if it was hot and sexy,
totally,
it would lessen the blow a little bit.
Plus, we're comedians and actors. Like, it's not going to hurt our career. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it for Kim Kardashian, and she can't even act. So, if we were
Paris
like
Hilton,
auditions or like priests or something, okay, that's maybe weird, but whatever. I was young. We were drunk in Atlantic City. It's when things happen. So it was good times though. Good times. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where you have to be very safe with deleting though. And I had learned already about deleting shit from your back end too, because when you delete pictures, it goes to a separate folder. And if you don't delete that, it's still on your phone. But a lot of people don't know this shit. And it takes up a lot of data, people. So if you don't know this, make sure you do. And so, yeah, I would like to think it's long gone, and that phone has been long broken. So I don't think there's any way for them. This was before I was on the cloud, you know. I was on the ground by this point.
This was in the Stone Age.
Now I'm up on the cloud everywhere, right? My info is just up in the sky. And that's how that works, right? The cloud. I don't really know what the cloud is.
I don't understand it either.
It's weird. I don't know. But anyways, speaking of weird, we got another story about another. Yeah, that's right. So this is a win for comedy and America, because now that asshole Alex Jones had to sell his stupid show, InfoWars, and the buyer might shock you. In fact, Simo over here did not believe me. I told him this happened.
I was like, I don't think so.
Too many onions satire. It's like, bitch, I'm telling you, it's true.
It was too good to be true for me.
It's so good. The Onion bought InfoWars at auction with the backing of Sandy Hook families, who were the ones that were slandered by Alex Jones. And Jones owes them more than $1 billion in defamation judgments for calling the whole massacre a hoax and literally like making a lot of money on this conspiracy theory.
Well, that's what InfoWars was. It was all about conspiracy theories, like the worst of the worst, like such stupid stuff. And then there's so many people who, I'm not saying even that they're uneducated people. Like there's a lot of educated people that I know that like love a good conspiracy theory, and then they repeat it, and people trust them because they're educated. Do you know what I mean? Like, like when people hold office and they're spewing this stuff, it's so upsetting to me. I'm like, you're spewing so much misinformation, and like people look up to you, and you have a responsibility to the public. Like when, like it's like when Marjorie Taylor Greene's talking about like Jewish people on lasers. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Absolutely. Like he would give shit like that credence.
Leave him alone.
And you know it's bad when Donald Trump in his last term gave him the Medal of Freedom, which is just so fucked. And like, you know, well, everything Donald Trump associated himself last time had to pay a lot of money for lying. So anyways, so this guy would have to turn over the company over to the Onion, who actually put out a pretty awesome statement. And it said, "Today we celebrate a new addition to the global tetrahedron, nice, LLC family of brands. And let me say, I really do see it as a family. Much like family members, our brands are abstract nodes of wealth, interchangeable assets for their patriarch to absorb and discard according to the opaque whims of the market. And just like family members, our brands regard one another with mutual suspicion of malice. All told, the decision to acquire InfoWars was an easy one for the global tetrahedron executive board. Founded in 1999 on the heels of the satanic panic and growing steadily over since, InfoWars has distinguished itself as an invaluable tool for brainwashing and controlling the masses with a shrewd mix of delusional paranoia and dubious anti-aging nutrition hacks. They strive to make life both scarier and longer for everyone, a commendable goal. They're a true unicorn, capable of simultaneously inspiring public support for billionaires and stoking outrage at an inept federal state that can assassinate JFK but can't even put a man on the moon. Through it all, InfoWars has shown an unswerving commitment to manufacturing anger and radicalizing the most vulnerable members of society, values that resonate deeply with all of us at Global Tetrahedron. tetrahedron. Sorry. No price would be too high for such a cornucopia of malleable assets and mines. And yet, in a stroke of good fortune, a formidable special interest group has outwitted the hapless owners of InfoWars, a forgettable man with an already forgotten name, and forced them to sell it at a steep bargain, less than $1 trillion. Make no mistake, this is a coup for a company and a well-deserved victory for multinational elites the world over. What's next for InfoWars remains a live issue. The excess funds initially allocated for the purchase will be reinvested into our philanthropic efforts and include business school scholarships for promising cult leaders, a charity that donates elections to at-risk third world dictators, and a new pro bono program pairing orphans with stable factory jobs at no cost to the factories. As for the vitamins and supplements, we're halting their sales immediately. Utilitarian logic dictates that if we can extend even one CEO's life by 10 minutes, diluting this miracle elixirs for public consumption is an unethical waste. Instead, we plan to collect the entire stock of InfoWars warehouses into a large vat and boil the contents down to a single candy bar sized omnivitamin that one executive, I will not name names, may eat in order to increase his power and perhaps become immortal. All will be revealed in due time. For now, let's enjoy this win and toast the continued consolidation of power and capital, infinite growth forever. Bryce P. Titrader, I don't know how to say that, Global Tetrahedron CEO of The Onion. Now, the deal has not officially gone through yet because the courts have to review whether it was the best deal, because apparently there was a group that was trying to buy it. However, their lawyers and the lawyer running the whole thing argued that the Onion's deal was actually the best because some of the Sandy Hook families agreed to forgo a portion of the sale proceeds to pay Jones's other creditors. So, which means even though they're offering less money up front, it actually makes more sense to take that deal because they're going to pay off some of the creditors that Alex Jones owes, which the other deal wouldn't have done. So, for right now, U.S. bankruptcy judge Christopher Lopez has to do some thinking on this, and we will keep you guys posted on if the sale goes through. For now, this guy deserves to lose every fucking penny. I mean, dude, like the Sandy Hook families, I would never dream what happened to what they lived through on my worst fucking enemies. You know what I mean? Like, come on. And this dude would not just like make money off like calling their shit a hoax and saying that it was all like crisis actors and whatnot. Sometimes he would even like follow these people around and do like awful things. And these people would get calls and shit and death threats and emails and all these trolls online fucking bullying them, telling them that they're faking it. And like imagine you use your kid in the worst way possible and some troll is on the internet telling you you're fucking fake. And it's multiply that times millions of people because this jackass. Ugh.
Well,
he can suck a Dickens.
he had a wife named Kelly, and they had 3 kids. And then they divorced like 10 years ago, but she sought sole custody of their kids because of her ex-husband's like weird behavior, and she claimed he was not a stable person. She was concerned that he was engaged in felonious behavior, threatening a member of Congress. I think his name was Adam Schiff. But his like lawyers all said that no, he's playing a character. Like he's a performance artist.
Yeah, totally.
So like I don't know if he. So I don't know if he even knows like what's real, you know. But she said and I'm looking up Wikipedia. So she said in 2023 there's an audio clip from 2008 of Jones being mean to his wife. And Kelly claimed that Jones was a total racist regarding her Jewish heritage, claiming that her genes were flawed. He would say things like that.
Oh, yeah, he's not a nice guy.
So she tried her best to keep her kids away, but I think that like his kids worked for InfoWars, or at least one of them
Oh,
did. So,
I wonder how old the kids are. Does it say on there?
um, let's see. It does not.
Oh, well, you know it's bad when one of them is working there. So
Hmm.
hopefully, though, he like would look at it as like, okay, I'm getting. He had a pretty nice studio, I will say. You know what I mean? So you can at least learn the technical side of broadcasting if you keep your ears closed. So I like to think, kids don't necessarily kids are better than the parents usually in those generational types of thinking. But yeah, when your wife is seeing you act like a nut job, sorry, lawyer, you can't argue that it's a character. So what? Was he still on the air? Was he also recording like the last guy, like McAvoy? Like what? No.
Well, he's just a really paranoid guy in general. He married another woman, I think in like 2017 maybe, and then like a couple of years later, he was so paranoid that she was cheating on him, that he had people spy on her. And there was like this
Ugh.
whole story about it. I think in like Rolling Stones or something. But I think to myself like, um, these were all signs of like really serious mental illnesses. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
And
Like, so,
insecurities.
like I just think to myself, like if someone's like super paranoid to the extent where it's destroying your life, if your
Mm-hmm.
paranoia is getting your kids taken away from you, it ruined your marriage, and
Mm-hmm.
if the majority of the world is calling you crazy, then maybe you should consider looking into that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some medication might be in order, Mr. Alex Jones. Uh, I mean, dude, when you have to pay $1 billion fucking dollars for being an asshole, like $1 billion, that's more than Fox News had to pay for the election line.
You know, though, he's the type of person that like he might get a billion individual complaints or like mean messages on Twitter or X. But if he receives one m- positive message that's like glorifying his
Oh
efforts,
yeah, he
he's
thinks he's
that
doing the
person
right
who's
thing. Hmm.
like it's all worth it because this one person, if you can change one person's life. No, no, no. If you're destroying a lot of like people's lives, but like one person finds you entertaining, that doesn't make you God.
Yeah.
You know?
If you make money off hurting people, you're kind of an asshole.
Crazy.
And no, you can make fun of people. That's different. Roast away. Do what you want. But when you're like actively persecuting people and coming after them and shit, and, making money off of their deaths of their fucking families, you're a piece of shit. So, Alex Jones, from all of us here at the Frat Chat Cup podcast, and that includes Jimmy up and maybe hopefully getting out soon. Uh, the south sector of Rikers Island. Shout out Jimmy.
He
Uh,
wasn't offered any program to like
that's right.
alleviate his sentencing
He
for
just had to
doing
go.
some like therapy.
He just had to go straight up. So we all here at the Fragile Podcast to Alex Jones like to say, "Suck it, sir." And anywho, we got to keep this crazy train moving because it's just gonna keep getting crazier and crazier. Anyways, this next one is I could tell you, but I never thought I would see the day. But here we are. Hit it again! Because the Trump cabinet picks have been rocking the nation this week. And a couple in particular really stand out. Especially the first one here. When a certain Kennedy that sounds like a certain crypt keeper was awarded the position of health secretary.
I can't.
Yeah, which means he'll be the head of the Health and Human Services Department. And it's the one and only RFK.
Like I feel so bad, like complaining about how he sounds, but if I'm being honest, it does make me a little uncomfortable
Yeah.
because it almost sounds like painful, like it's hurting him. And
Totally. And it's, I know he's a fit guy. The maggots are, as they're called on the net by the kids these days, are sharing lots of weird pictures of him like bench pressing shirtless, which is again very weird. But the dude's got some good deltoids. Like you can't deny that from him. But again, weird. And that's what they're saying that qualifies him to be head of the Health and Human Services Department. They're sharing like a picture side by side of him like bench pressing and like Bill Gates walking around with his sloppy self, you know, and like Bill Gates is not necessarily the essence of health when you look at his pictures. And they're like, who would you rather tell you how to be healthy? And honestly, the way I look at it is this. You're in science class, right? And you forgot to study for the bio test. You have two people in front of you who are offering you help. Who are you going to cheat off? The jock or the science nerd?
Science nerd, 100%.
I'm
I
going to go
will
with the nerd.
say RFK is in incredible shape, and he looks, and I could like only dream to be as half as fit as he is at that age, you know? So kudos to him. So I'm not saying that he's not taking good care of himself, but I do
He's
think
not
that,
dumb.
yeah, he was like an anti-vaxxer.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. This is a point that gets driven across a lot by the right. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it in here. He has explicitly said that he is not an anti-vaxxer and that he's not going to take away anyone's vaccines per se. But in the same statement, he goes on to say that he doesn't believe that any vaccines are effective. And that when you have the secretary of the human health sector fucking saying that vaccines don't work and taking away the mandate for certain vaccines, people are not going to fucking take them. You can't cast doubt on this shit. Like, yes, you should make sure that they're healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. But he has some very weird quotes about vaccines that just to me make him seem like he's not fit for his job. Like, check this one out of him talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. And note, this is Trump's nominee to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Check this out.
And we need to talk about bioweapons. I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and you know the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure of genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential and impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine are about. They're collecting Russian DNA, they're collecting Chinese DNA, so that we can target people by race.
Lady, you're scaring us. What the fuck? And just listen to him talk. Like, good Lord.
I think that COVID ran rampant through a lot of different socioeconomic communities. Like, If you are working in a bodega face to face with the public every day, then you are more at risk than if you were like a wealthy person that was able to leave the city and go live in your hugest state upstate, at your lake house. It's very different.
And where to like make it like the broadest yet weirdest specific shit. Like he says, COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. Great, pretty broad there, buddy. And then the people that are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. Like what? But wait, some of those Jews are also Caucasians. So how does that work?
And I also have a feeling that when he says Chinese, he probably means the Asian community. But in his household, they probably use those terms interchangeably.
Oh God, man. Yeah. It's I mean, and this is just one of his wacky clothes. I got this one here for you. And this is a couple of clips. He went on CNN and to talk about how, he's not an anti-vaxxer, blah, blah, blah. And this lady, I think her name is Casey Hunt or Cassie Hunt. I'm sorry if it's spelled Kasie, so I'm very confused on it's Casey or Cassie. So pardon, ma'am. But she was ready with the clips just in case he tried to backtrack. So let's see.
You have gained notoriety for your
what he says. Sorry, let me cue that up.
You have gained notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
You've talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective. What I'm saying is that none of the 72 vaccines has ever been tested in a safety study pre-licensing.
So let me ask you if you think it's wise for people to take these vaccines, because you had this to say on a different podcast about whether people with young babies should be getting them shots. Watch.
For many, many years, I think parents were so gaslighted and they were scapegoated and they were vilified and marginalized, so that even parents of kids who were very, very badly injured knew what happened to their kid, but they were just reluctant to talk about it. And I think now those days are over. Our job is to resist and to talk about it to everybody. If you're walking down the street, and I do this now myself, which is, I don't want to do, I'm not a busybody. I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to them, better not get them vaccinated. And he heard that from me. If he hears it from 10 other people, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will save that child.
Maybe he will save that child. You think preventing vaccines for a child will save that child? Do you still say this to parents today?
What I say again is I had 3 vaccines when I was a kid, and I was fully compliant. My kids got 72. The current recommendations are, I think, around 77. And
I have a vaccine record for my child, and there are not 77
there are 77 doses. There are 72 doses of 16 vaccines. Oh, that's just a fact.
He is.
That's just a fact that I made up in my head. It's a fact,
That does not give me the man with fucking tapeworms in his brain is not the man who comes across as the essence of health to me. Again, sweet deltoids, bro. But him just telling people not to vaccinate their babies, like what? Do you remember polio, bro? That is not good.
I wonder if I don't know how to say this without sounding like an asshole, but sometimes I think that because he has some sort of verbal disability, I wonder if he gets leeway. And so, because like the things that come out of his mouth are so stupid, but I think people are scared to talk about things coming out of his mouth because they come out of his mouth in a manner that is so like gargled that they don't want to come off being critical of his disability. So like, it's like, did you hear what he said? Yeah, it sounded great, right? Did it sound great? It sounded great to me. Yeah, it sounded, bless his heart. You know what I mean? So I feel like people are scared to be like, listen, like I didn't understand everything he had to say. But for when I
Can you
gather,
say
it's
that
kind of
again,
complete
please?
bullshit. Yeah.
However, I will give it to this lady. She came here prepared
Oh, she's
with tape,
phenomenal.
with his clips. Every time he said, "No, I didn't say that," she was ready. So shout out to Cassie or Casey Hunt.
Let's just
It's
call
a
her
mystery to
Special
me.
K.
That's right, Special K. I love you. That was wonderful. And here's the thing: he's not done yet, folks, because he's got one more great idea that he wants to put out into the world. And let me load that up for you.
My first week, I'm going to call all the division heads and I'm going to call all the bureau chiefs. And I'm going to say, we're going to give drug development and infectious disease a break, a little bit of a break for about 8 years. And we're going to study chronic disease. And I'm going to go to NIH.
So,
my first week, I'm going to call all the division heads. And
he's repeating it again. Sorry. So he wants to go to NIH drug development for things like cancer and infectious diseases. And he'll require them to take a break from that for 8 years, which is essentially 2 scientific generations, because it's 2 sets of generations of college graduates not studying this shit, and to pause it. How the fuck are you going to pause cancer research? Like, what? I know that was a short clip, and there's more that he probably said on it, but that's absolutely insane. So the answer to cancer is just not do anything about it anymore?
Well,
like what?
So I didn't understand like really what all the cabinet things were. So I looked online, and so there's a great article by USA Today, and they kind of spelled out for you, but they said that there are 15 executive departments which must be confirmed by the Senate. Is there a chance that RFK may not be confirmed?
There is a chance, and a big chance. In fact, the one and only Mike Pence came out from his ghoulish cave. He took a break from his horse to come out and oppose RFK as a human health services lead, because he says that Kennedy supports abortion access, which is kind of hilarious. That's where he drew the line. But he put out a statement, and he says, I believe the nomination of RFK Jr. to serve as Secretary of HHS is an abrupt departure from the pro-life record of our administration and should be deeply concerning to millions of pro-life Americans who have supported the Republican Party and are nominees for decades. Pence wrote. The pro-life movement has always looked to the Republican Party to stand for life, to affirm an unborn child has a fundamental right to life which cannot be infringed. On behalf of tens of millions of pro-life Americans, I respectfully urge Senate Republicans to reject this nomination and give the American people a leader who will respect the sanctity of life as Secretary of Health and Human Services. So where he drew the line was that RFK has been pro-choice apparently before. And it wasn't the craziness, it wasn't the vaccine shit. it was the pro-life. So in a weird way, he's kind of being our ally in this, because no one wants RFK. I mean, I know a lot of the MAGA people do. They're actually going crazy for this. They really think that this man is going to change things for the better. I will say on the positives of him, one thing that he has said that he wants to do, which makes sense in theory, is that he wants to
press 400 pounds.
That's right. Is that he wants to make sure there's more safety studies done on medications and things like that, and make sure that things are safe before going out to human consumption. That's what a lot of his supporters claim are his biggest positives, is that he's going to completely take down the system to make sure it's safer for Americans, is the way they view it. However, it is of at least my opinion here, because opinions are like assholes. We all got them, and they all smell like shit. If you start taking a guy who's pausing things like cancer research, casting doubts on vaccines, taking away, like public school mandates of certain vaccines, and leading to less kids having access to these vaccines as a result of parents being afraid of them now, it's not going to make America healthier again, which is now he's trying to push that as the new slogan, MAHA. It's going to do the complete opposite. Things like polio were wiped away because of vaccine. He says that polio vaccine actually made things worse, and he claims that it was, because the polio went away because they stopped using some chemical in the 50s or whatever. But the vaccine had helped with polio years before that chemical came out. So there's all these things that contradict everything he puts out. And the thing is, it sounds smart enough to make sense to certain people that hear what he has to say, and it makes total sense to them. So the way to combat this, I don't know. I don't think it's by calling them stupid. It's, hopefully showing them the way if they're willing to hear it, and show them that the shit he's talking about doesn't make any fucking sense. But I don't know if it's going to get confirmed. The problem is, which will affect the next story as well that we'll talk about, is that apparently Trump is going to ask the Senate to go on recess, so then he can do basically an absentee appointment, where there's a rule where if the Senate is in recess for more than 10 days and they can't confirm people, the president can appoint them without confirmation. So normally this gets used, like Obama used it 30 times, but you use it to appoint like low-level employees. You know what I mean? Like people that it's in the federal government, but it's not like the fucking, state attorney or something like that. It's like, maybe the HR lady. So, the people who do not have these super high positions.
Did I lose you? Can you hear me? Oh, I think I lost reception.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm coming back.
Wait, can you hear me? Simo. He's here, but he can't hear me. I don't know what he's doing. Hello? 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 Hello?
I'm back. Sorry. I lost reception.
Actually,
got good.
The whole time. But anyways, this medium would normally be used to appoint like low-level employees. And now he's trying to use it, as a loophole so he could appoint, these people without confirmation, which would be very problematic. And if the Senate agrees to go along with it, would basically make the Senate obsolete, in the sense that, like, that's kind of what they're there to do. They're there to provide a check and balance, and to make sure that the people the president appoints are the right people for the job. And if they fail to do their job, then what the fuck do we vote them in for? So who knows what they're going to do? There are at least a few people who say they oppose them. But the problem is, this administration looks to have pretty firm control of, its people. And you have like senators who are literally going on camera and saying that if Donald Trump told them to jump 3 feet and scratch themselves in the head, that they would do it. So they're very obedient right now. So
It's
who knows?
horrible.
I don't know what's gonna happen, dude, but this is not good. And anywho, at least with RFK, as much as I'd hate to see it, with some right oversight and checks and balances, who knows? Maybe he could do his job. But the last one, the absolute worst one, the one that has even Republicans or some Republicans scratching their head because there is again the very loyal MAGA base, is the fact that Donald Trump has nominated Congressman, or I should say former Congressman as of now, Matt Gaetz, to be his Attorney General of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, it has sent shockwaves across Washington. Now, of course, a lot of the picks have been controversial, as we share RFK. Elon Musk will now have some kind of job in the government to make sure it's efficient. However, nothing sent shockwaves like Matt Gaetz, who how do we describe Matt Gaetz? Simo, we did an episode which you can check out.
He looks like if Beavis and Butthead had a baby, it would be him.
That's right. And rapier too, because at least Beavis and Butthead looked for consent with chicks. As flawed as they were.
This is one of the most powerful positions in government. And this like whiny little bitch, like he gets in a lot of like social media fights. And he's another example of like a rich, privileged kid. His father was a big politician. Was his father a senator, governor? I forget,
honestly. I don't know.
I'll look it up. But he is gonna be heading the department that at one point was investigating him. And while there is an ongoing, I think there was an investigation that was like reopened for him. And as soon as he got this nomination for Attorney General, he stepped down from being congressman immediately. And absolutely. I think he did that strategically because they had to stop the investigation. Now they can share what they found. And so a lot of Republicans are like, no, this doesn't need to share. Like it's done. Like put it to rest. But no, they can share what they found, and I hope they do. But he is sketchy. Like I think one of his best buds was somehow involved in like human trafficking. Like he's been linked to having
in the whole thing. So basically, this guy, for example, in 2018, he brought a right-wing Holocaust denier to the State of the Union, which is awful. He also tried to expel 2 fathers who lost children in a mass shooting from a hearing after they objected to a claim he made about gun control, which just showed his character. But what Simo's alluding to, which is an investigation where he was not charged federally, because at the time he was 35, now he's 42. Enough time had passed, like they couldn't prove without a shadow of a doubt that he did it. But as Simo also alluded to, it was enough proof where Republicans launched an investigation about him that was set to be released this Friday, actually. So he quit just in time for that not to be released. The investigation would have wrapped up, and I don't know if the American public would have found out, but at least the report would have been finalized. And the report basically said that he was at this party where he had sex with a 17-year-old sex worker. There's several witnesses to confirm it, including his buddy, who also, I believe, was a senator. I forget the guy's name, but he was known for trying, and this should tell you the level of guilt that I think these guys should have. He was trying to get rid of the statute of limitations for sex crimes against minors, which should tell you enough about that motherfucker. I'm glad I don't remember his name. But apparently, this is the story that we shared. He then paid that 17-year-old sex worker publicly on Venmo. So I mean, that at least shows evidence.
Horrible. I mean, great for us because, like, I like when criminals do dumb things that get them caught for,
absolutely.
like, still
Absolutely.
horrible behavior.
And of course, there's a lot of Republicans, including Mike Johnson, who is just an all-level rat and the highest one in leadership right now. He's their speaker. Is trying to hide the report, but a lot are calling for that information to be made public. The lady who this happened to, who was 17 at the time, now she's in her 20s, she was interviewed, and her evidence was deemed credible because it was confirmed by other people, some who were friends with Matt Gaetz. And even Kevin McCarthy, who was the former Speaker of the House, who was actually ousted by Matt Gaetz, said that one of the reasons he doesn't have a job is because a certain congressman came up to him and was trying to get him to upend an investigation where he had told him that he slept with a 17-year-old. So while he didn't specify by name, we all know who he's talking about. So this is fucking awful, especially because this is the party that just won an election under the whole umbrella of keeping kids safe and keeping men's out of keeping men out of women's locker rooms or whatever. But you appoint the biggest guy who would ever do it as the head of the State Department. Now he's going to have access to his own investigations. He's going to have access to all the Trump investigations. So you know what's going to happen to those. It's basically going to do everything that they accuse the left of doing. They're going to weaponize the shit out of the State Department if this guy gets confirmed. They're going to make it so they can get rid of all their crimes. They're going to enable a known pedophile, which is, again, what they accuse the left of being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all for what? Just to have a Trump loyalist? So I don't know. I will say enough Republicans also have been scratching their heads about this one that I hope they fucking speak up. But the problem is they don't seem to want to. They're being very quiet. And the only one that Donald Trump's going to listen to right now is not the people on the left. They didn't vote for his ass. He doesn't care about us anymore. It's going to be his people telling him, for the love of God, Mr. President, don't do this shit. So if you're a Republican that voted for Trump, this is your fucking mess to fix for us right now, please, because he's not going to listen to us. So go ahead, get on your little Twitter machine or your Truth Social, whatever the fuck you guys are. Send him a little message at Real Donald Trump and say, please, not Matt Gaetz. Anybody but Matt Gaetz. Because this is fucking bad, dude.
He's so gross. And he's just, the only way I can describe him is just a whiny bitch, you know? And
yeah, he sucks. He looked for a presidential pardon before the January 6th. Like, who looks up for a pardon before the day of something? It's because you know you're going to do some illegal shit. That is so fucked.
Well, I'm hoping that, so if he doesn't pass this, I guess the Senate votes for him, right? So like he's nominated, and then he has to pass the Senate vote. So I wonder if Donald Trump, out of loyalty, is like, okay, well, I have to do something for this guy. I know he's not going to make it, but that's not on me. That's on them. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping there's like a sliver of hope that maybe Donald Trump is proposing some of these people, knowing that they're not going to get through, and that way he doesn't lose that person as a potential ally.
Totally. And at least one benefit is he's no longer in the House. He's no longer a congressman. So if he somehow doesn't get appointed, he's just a regular old citizen again. So I'm hoping that Donald Trump is playing his hand here just to get rid of him. Which, if so, dude, MAGA people, you'll convince me, okay, he's kind of a smart guy here. He's playing chess while some people are playing checkers. And I will give him points. You can. This is being recorded, so you can take back this tape. If Matt Gaetz doesn't get confirmed and he's gone, dude, I will say Donald Trump is a smart motherfucker. But if he's just trying to appoint some loyalist to keep his power, then I don't know, man. This is a very scary America I'm looking come January. especially a guy, whew, have you seen his Botox, people? My God,
horrible.
every time a man comes to camera, I'm like, ah!
I just think that you're a product of the company you keep sometimes, and like I really hope
Yeah,
that Trump realizes that some of the people that are his best allies really bring his reputation down.
totally.
And I just hope that he surrounds himself with good, responsible, ethical people that are motivated by integrity and not necessarily like dollars. Who knows? But I
Totally.
wanted to also mention I don't think we really talked about Elon Musk
Oh, yeah.
a whole lot, and I just want to point out that um, I understand that Elon has a lot of money and Donald Trump likes this partnership. I felt like Elon Musk to me felt more like a vice presidential candidate or running mate than JD Vance did. I
Totally. He
feel
was out
like
literally buying votes for Trump, paying people $1 million to sign a pledge to basically be conservative, which means buying votes. I don't know how the fuck this was allowed to go through, but he was given the job along with Vivek Ramazakic or Ramazak. I'm sorry, I'm butchering his last name, and they're going to be the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as Doge. You can't make this up. And their job is going to be to find ways to cut down from the federal government, to cut down spending. And they want to get rid of like, I think $2 to $3 trillion in government spending. And they want to fire millions and millions of government employees, which is somehow, even though you're going to release 2 to 3 million government employees at a single rate, going to help the economy. So you have 3 million
it's
people
so
now
bizarre.
unemployed.
But I
Yeah.
just want to point out
I
that
don't know.
Donald Trump is so um, just pressed and focused on like exposing Obama and his this is like a birtherism. Wasn't that like a big thing? And Obama is an American born citizen, but Donald Trump was trying to like convince everyone that he wasn't and that he didn't qualify to be a president. And so
Totally.
it put a lot of doubt in people's minds. And it's just it almost seemed a little icky because he is very much like prioritizing American born citizens over non-American born citizens. And I feel like just because they're born on this world doesn't make them a messiah. But I just think it's interesting that as much as Donald Trump is very anti-immigration, like he sleeps next to one. His wife's an immigrant, and so is Elon Musk. And Elon
Sure.
Musk, when he first came on board, had a student visa but never actually enrolled in Stanford. And rode that student visa and was working illegally. Like he did all the things that Donald Trump is like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Totally. He's an illegal
I'm
immigrant.
against this.
But
So
notice he
he's a
was
citizen now, but
white.
yeah,
If he would
true.
have been like Latino, who knows if he'd be a friend of the state or enemy of the people. Who knows? But yeah, absolutely. He was here and we were talking off air about this. He would tell people that his visa automatically became an H-1B visa, which is the most ridiculous shit I ever heard because you don't just apply to get the H-1 visa. It's a work visa, which means you have to have a job somewhere that's willing to sponsor you to get this visa, and they have to help you get said visa. My parents were under that themselves when we came to America. It's not one that's very easy to get, and especially if you are a college student who's not enrolled in college. So he was 1,000% an illegal immigrant working here in America. And, but it's again, these people, the rules just don't apply to them. They're going to make rules for everybody else. But as far as they're concerned, it's all cool. Whatever. So I don't know, man. It's very weird. It's a very awkward time to be in America. I now note again, the Doge thing as well has to be approved by, I believe, Congress. Is what I could be wrong. Could be the Senate, one of the two. Again, now they own the House and the Senate. It's a slim majority, but they have it, which means that if all the Republicans decide to go along with it, there's nothing we can do. The great leader is going to pass it. So I've never thought I'd said this. Our whole life right now, how things will look for the next 4 years, are all at the hands of these Republicans who are trying to impress Donald Trump.
So I hope it's worth it, ladies and gentlemen. So
We
if
are
you're so pressed about gas prices and the price of like eggs and like milk, I hope this is worth it. I hope you get those lower grocery prices. I don't think you will, but I hope you do.
No,
Just so you
they're
can say
not
this is all
coming.
worth it.
Now, I will say that one thing that's pretty funny is people coming to the realization that they voted for lower gas prices and milk and stuff, and they're not going to get them. Like even the CEO of, I think it was Exxon Oil, came out and said that, oh yeah, ExxonMobil, that there's no way that gas prices are going to go down anymore because the U.S. is already drilling at an all-time high. So, whoops.
Whoops.
And he also wants Trump to stay in the Paris Climate Accord, which Trump is threatening to withdraw from, which is basically the one that working for emissions. And you know it's bad when the CEO of an oil company is telling the president, whoa, 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 whoa. Now back up a little bit. We don't want to destroy the earth here, like what you're proposing. So that guy came down from his tower of lightning and thunder from his billions to come down and say that it was a bad idea to withdraw from the Paris Accord.
Yeah.
So that says something. But everybody's coming to the realization that grocery prices are also not going to go down. At best, they're going to stay the same. People are like, oh, wait, I've realized inflation has come down before, but grocery prices actually never did. Huh. Whoops. So, yeah. And also, I think, you have like the groups that like are like, the Latinos for Trump who are so pumped to vote for him and now see that the administration is all white people except for like 3 people. Like, ooh.
I also think that when we file for taxes this upcoming like January, February, everything will pretty much be the same. But come next year, we're gonna notice that we'll have a smaller tax return. In addition to, they'll be taking out more taxes from our paycheck. I'm waiting for it because I feel like if you're in a lower tax bracket, like most of us are, we'll be paying a little bit more, and it's the top tier tax brackets are going to be getting will be paying less in taxes. We'll see.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we're definitely getting pounded. But it is funny again. You see the deputy chief of staff. It's gonna be Stephen Miller for Trump, the guy who was like, "America is for Americans," and he wants to deport all these people. You look at this administration. It's all white people. There's not one, other than Marco Rubio, who, let's be serious, he doesn't give a shit about Latinos. There's not a single one. He's the only one. He's like the token. The rest, the other foreigners are Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Like, come on, man. And the Department of Government Efficiency, aka Doge. I don't know, man. Latinos for Trump, y'all. You're stupid.
Oh, and there's also that the Hawaiian like ex-military
Gabbard, yeah.
Yeah, and she has a really good relationship with Russia, doesn't she?
She is. It's bad enough for Russian state TV calls her our girlfriend Tulsi every time they do news stories about her. The scientific community, she still does have a government clearance, but a lot of the people in the scientific community doubt how the fuck that's possible. She has put out I've seen these tweets myself, and I've even shared them recently. She has put out a bunch of pro-Russian propaganda, especially around the time of the Ukraine war starting, saying that the U.S. had these like energy labs all around that were illegal, but if anything happened to them, it would be like a fucking nuclear catastrophe, essentially, which is such propaganda. And when she actually was called out by Hillary Clinton, which made the thing go mainstream, but at the same time, maybe it hurt the possibility of her going down for it, because you know how the right feels about Hillary Clinton. Anything she says has to be wrong. But Tulsi then sued Hillary Clinton, I believe for slander, but she dropped the lawsuit before it ever went to court and got nothing out of it, So she did stop sharing the stupid tweets after the fact, so maybe Hillary was onto something. So I don't know, man. It's bad enough when have the scientific community question whether this person should have a clearance that you're going to give her a position of power. But yeah, she is one of five minorities, and maybe really even three, because again, Elon and Vivek, that position, that department doesn't exist. And that whole thing needs to be approved by Congress. So who knows if that's even going to go through. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. However, ladies and gentlemen, that was the news. Let us know what you think on all these topics. And let us know on the biggest question of them all. Is Matt Gaetz just ugly or a pedo or an ugly pedo? Let us know, A, B, or C. Shoot us an email or give us a follow at FratChat Podcast on all social channels. And you can give us an email, fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are fucked if Matt Gaetz becomes the state attorney, but not as much as your kids. So get out there and do something.
The attorney general.
Yeah, it's attorney general. Sorry about that. That's what happens when we smoke weed. Hello. Anyways, give us a follow. FratChat Podcast on all social channels. That's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter / Threads. Give me a follow at Carlos Does the World on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Carlos Does the World. Threads, Carlos Does the World. TikTok, Carlos Does the World, as well as YouTube. Give my buddy Simo here a follow as well on those social channels at chris.moore.comedy on Instagram, on TikTok, and Seymour Comedy on Twitter / X. Oh, yeah! Now, Mr. Mo, it's time to go, and perhaps it's time for us to move out of the country because Matt Gaetz might listen to this. And who knows what happened. I know he looks to go after the young voters, so... Hide your kids, hide your wife. Matt Gaetz is coming. And Mr. Mo, why don't you please get us out of here?
I motion to adjourn this meeting.
And I second. All right, you guys. We'll be back next week with another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasting time. It's the FratChat Podcast. See ya.